All right, stand by. 10 seconds to go.
Talent.
Ready, camera.
And
Three,
cue talent.
one.
Roll to record.
Say hello to numbers 11 and 12, and no, I'm not talking about the Bill Cosby rape victims. I'm John Phillips, and this is The Rundown. Yes, we have new GOP presidential candidates to kick around, as Jeb Bush officially announced after months of not running on Monday. Let's go ahead and take a look.
And I've decided I'm a candidate for President of the United States of America.
And then the Donald threw his hair into the ring on Tuesday with a long, bizarre, but utterly fantastic speech that was everything we've come to know and love about the Donald. Here's a taste.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
They are the 11th and 12th GOP candidates, guaranteeing that at least two declared candidates will get kicked off the Fox News debate. Jeb was the presumed establishment frontrunner, an amnesty advocate who has staked out his future on more illegal, alien-friendly Republican Party, who hasn't been showing well in the polls, but has raised a ton of money. Trump is a relentless self-promoter accused of being a phony conservative just out for publicity, but he's saying things the other candidates are too scared to say. Will either help the GOP take the presidency? Joining me to answer that question is author and political satirist Scott Ott in Dallas, Texas, and PJTV contributor and stand-up comic Stephen Cruiser. Cruiser, let me tell you a true story. I was in my living room watching Fox, and the Donald came on the screen. Actually, it was his daughter, Ivanka, who did the introduction. And I thought, well, I'll stick around and watch this. I figured it would be 10 or 15 minutes. An hour later, I'm still there sitting there watching the Donald, and I'm completely mesmerized. I was into the speech. I was laughing. I was agreeing with what he had to say. And I've got to say, I was enthused.
Well, I mean, the guy knows how to give a speech. He knows how to get an audience. He knows how to do all of those things. He has no interest whatsoever in being president of the United States. This is just a little promotion for him for his next. This guy, why would he take the pay cut? Donald loves the money. He loves the game. He loves it. There's no way he wants to work for a few $100,000 a year right now. That's not happening. He is just doing some brilliant self-promotion and branding right now. This will guarantee him triple the Fox coverage, and they practically live at his house right now. But yes, he is entertaining. He's fun to watch. You put his hair running with Bernie Sanders' hair, we got a ticket. You have Trump hair, Sanders hair, 2016. I'm looking at that seriously just for the entertainment value, but he has no interest in being president of the United States.
You know, Scott, I know a lot of people are down on the Donald, but I think he's good for the Republicans. I'll tell you why. When you put him up on the debate stage and you ask him about immigration, he's going to say, deport him. You ask him about TPP, he's going to say, kill it. You ask him about China, he's going to say, F him. He can boil everything down to a very quick, concise, easy to understand soundbite. And I think that Republicans on stage, that when you ask them the question about immigration, you ask them the question about trade, you ask them a question about China, sometimes they sound like Rachel Dolezal trying to explain a race, where it's some 45-minute rambling answer that makes no sense to anyone. You can't get away with that when Donald's on stage answering questions quickly with quips that the audience understands. Will he push the other Republican candidates away from the bureaucraties?
Well, you know, as they say, brevity is the soul of wit, but I don't think Donald Trump is going to be accused of being witty. I thought it was fascinating that at this great moment in his speech, really what should have been the climax of his speech, he couldn't memorize the line, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially announcing that I'm a candidate for presidency of the United States." He had to look down at his notes 3 times in that single sentence. So, I mean, there's obviously there is humor value in this. And as a political satirist who writes at scrappleface.com and makes these little Scott Ott Thought videos, I welcome Donald Trump into this race. And I agree with you, John, in a sense that I do think that he will say succinctly what a lot of people want to hear, and which and on topics that other candidates will find they are forced to give a more nuanced, subtle answer that you might consider dancing around.
Piggybacking on that, he's serving somewhat of the Newt Gingrich role in this primary. I agree with that. But Newt's forte always was rejecting stupid premises,
Yes.
that were thrown at him and everything. None of the other candidates ever picked up on that. So I don't have as much hope for any of them picking up on Trump's ability to just cut through the fluff.
I don't think that Donald will deny the premise. I think he'll answer the question, and he'll do it directly.
Yeah.
You ask about immigration, for example. He'll answer the question, deport them, build a wall, make Mexico pay for it. He'll then attack Jeb Bush as a loser. He'll tell you how rich he is, and then he'll have enough time left over to promote his TV show.
Which is precisely why, who is the other one so far in interviews who's cut right to the chase? Carly Fiorina.
Yes.
The two non-politicians in this race.
Absolutely.
That's why it's good to have some non-professional politicians in any race at any time.
When is Rick Santorum's head going to explode, Scott, if this man, Donald Trump, makes it on the debate stage and Santorum is kicked off because he's not polling in the top 10?
Yeah, I think not only will Donald Trump make it before Rick Santorum does, I think the rent is too damn high guy will make it if he decides that he wants to run this time as a Republican instead of a Democrat. I mean, I think in a sense it will make a lot of candidates uncomfortable because they will be forced to answer questions, and the media will do this. They'll say, well, another candidate, Donald Trump, has said that he is going to build a fence on the U.S.-Mexico border and he's going to make the Mexican people pay for it. Would you do the same? And all of a sudden, they'll have to deal with what would previously be considered an absurd question. So absurd, by the way, that I remembered when I heard that comment from his speech that a couple of years ago, I wrote a scrapple-face story, a satire story that said George Bush was going to build a fence between the U.S. and Mexico, and he was going to have it built by illegal aliens who were facing north so that when they were done, they'd be stuck in Mexico. and I think Donald Trump would be okay with that.
I also think he puts pressure on the field, not just the Republican side, but the Democratic side on trade, because he was as opposed to TPP as you could possibly be. And I think prior to the Donald, an acceptable answer on both sides of the aisle for Hillary Clinton and for someone like Jeb Bush or Scott Walker or even Rand Paul would be, well, I would have negotiated a better deal, and then kind of just left it at that. With Donald Trump in the race, that's not an acceptable answer now.
You're right, and the governors aren't going to be able to get away with, I've dealt with this before, I've had executive power. The usual politician excuses, they're not going to be able to do that, and that probably will make it a bigger issue in the GOP debates now, just because he's there too. The other thing is, I think that if the questioning isn't going in the direction he wants it to, he'll start forcing issues into the debates
absolutely.
too. He will make them to heck with the moderators. Trump will just throw it out on the table and go, here's what it is. Here's where, shut up, Stephanopoulos. This is what we're doing.
And the trade thing in particular, I think, is the Achilles heel, or one of the Achilles heels of Hillary Clinton, because it separates her money people from her voters, and it separates Secretary of State Hillary Clinton from candidate Hillary Clinton in ways that other issues can't illuminate.
And she's getting bad press about it, too. Bad liberal press about it right now.
Now, one of the things, Scott, that Donald Trump said in an interview with George Stephanopoulos was that if he wins the nomination, he would like to have Oprah Winfrey as his VP nominee. What do you make of that?
Genius. Just bloody genius. I mean, I think we can laugh about this all we want, but I have, two phrases for you: Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and what was the other guy, the professional wrestler? It wasn't
Jesse
Hulk
Ventura.
Hogan. It was
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse
the
Ventura,
body.
Governor Jesse Ventura. There has always been in these United States a populist streak, and every once in a while it rises up, and the people say, you know what? I'm sick of these darn politicians. I'm sick of their mealy-mouthed, debates over this incredibly complex issues. I want a guy who tells it like it is, who's a straight shooter, and they don't care if the guy really doesn't even understand what he's talking about, as long as he speaks plainly and directly. There's a great appeal for that in this country, and there always has been.
I look at Donald as a more put-together Ross Perot. Ross Perot got 19% of the popular vote.
And Ross Perot never spoke clearly. Ross Perot was just lunatic with his little charts and everything. Well, you got Grandma over here with the truck. You lift up the hood, shove her head in, there's a turtle, and then you paint it black. Good night. Ross never made any sense whatsoever. So, but I miss him because there was a lot of comedic value in Ross Perot. But Vice President Oprah, hey America, look under your seats. There's a car. That gets my vote.
Well, it's a chicken in every pot, a car under every seat, I guess.
VP Oprah all the way.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. But what do you think? Would you vote for Jeb Bush or would you vote for Donald Trump? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.